All right, welcome, ladies and germs, to another episode of Coffee and Propaganda. I'm Benjamin Duncan, joined here with Julian again.
Hello.
And for this episode, we're going to be talking about a number of things that have happened in the news this week and some interesting stories we have to share of adventures on the internet. But first, let's talk about the cancellation of the show Cops. Cops was on TV. It had 31 seasons. It was actually, which is as many as Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and one season more than The Simpsons. So that's how long the show was on TV. The show was canceled. I don't know, because of some crap. The show's 33rd season was expected to premiere on the Paramount Network on June 15th. It says here. All right, let me go over the tab. Cops is no longer. The Paramount Network confirmed on Tuesday that it had removed the reality show. Okay, just a second. I'm having some trouble here. Okay. That it removed the reality show from its schedule as protests nationwide call for police reform. Late last month, the network had temporarily cut the show from its schedule. Cops is not on the Paramount Network, and we don't have any current or future plans for it to return, a spokeswoman for the network said. Spike TV, the predecessor of the Paramount Network, picked up Cops in 2013 after the show was canceled by Fox, its network home for 25 years. The show's 33rd season was expected to premiere on Paramount on June 15th. The death of George Floyd last month in Minneapolis has catalyzed a movement, setting off hundreds of protests and efforts to change criminal justice policy. Mr. Floyd, a black man, was held down for nearly 9 minutes by a white police officer. A civil rights group, Color of Change, began a campaign in 2013 urging Fox not to renew the unscripted law enforcement show and call on advertisers to withdraw support. Since Cops made its debut in 1989, the group said the network, the show's producers, and advertisers have built a profit model around distorted and dehumanizing portrayals of Black Americans and the criminal justice system. The organization argued that although Cops was marked as unbiased, the show offers a highly filtered version of crime and the criminal justice system, a reality where the police are always competent crime-solving heroes and where the bad guys always get caught. The cancellation from Fox's primetime lineup was a small victory for Color of Change in March 2013 until Spike picked up the show that May. It has run on cable network ever since. This is the right move, and I want to give Paramount credit for being one of the first, said Rashad Robinson, executive director of Color of Change. We want to see more. He added, these cop reality shows that glorify police, but will never show the deep level of police violence that are not reality. They are PR arms for law enforcement. Law enforcement doesn't need PR. They need accountability in this country. So there you go. 31 seasons. Oops. Well, I don't know. I think people can watch whatever they want to watch. If they enjoy a show, then, keep it on the air, whatever. If we don't enjoy a show, take it off. The shows get popular because that's a reflection of the way our society is and our society thinks.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to micromanage or manipulate that in some way, I don't really see how that helps anything. And as I often say, scratch a censor, find an elitist. This is coming from people that think that, I guess, they're enlightened enough to be able to watch Cops and realize that what they're seeing is not always what happens out there in the field of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. But the regular people, the simpleton, they don't want to be influenced to view things wrongly. So we're going to call to cancel the show so that we don't unduly influence those dumb people. That's kind of how I see their mentality.
I didn't even realize, I watched the show since 1989. I remember watching as a little kid, and I didn't even realize that there were people who were offended by the show. And I see the show as propaganda. I really don't disagree with their opinion. Even with the black thing, I assume what they're saying by that is that kids are seeing this, portrayal of this black guy getting arrested for drugs or whatever on TV, and that's right, and all this stuff. They see it making them the way that they're dressed and acting, and that's what
Right.
people are. So
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it makes sense.
I don't know if I call it propaganda. I'd say that, okay, to have police involvement, I think police wouldn't want to be involved in a show that didn't glorify police work in a way.
Oh yeah, I mean all the
So,
controversy over cameras, and yet they've had a TV show
right.
that's where this is the TV show for
So that's
that many years.
that's the attitude they have the participation of the law enforcement, I think. And I don't think the only thing unreal about it, I would say, is just simply the fact that they're on camera. And so when you're on camera, you're going to act a little better. When you're on TV and you got this camera guy riding in your car, and you're going to act a little better than you might do usually. I don't think what I see on cops is that atypical from what I've seen from law enforcement in real life. I mean, there's a lot more chases, obviously, on cops than there are in real life, but cops.
But, I mean, when you watch Cops, though, do you ever notice that it's kind of choppy, especially like when it gets tense? So what's to say that they just don't edit that out?
Okay, well, maybe it's just because it gets, maybe it's just, I don't know. Are you saying that there's beatings on cops and we're not being seen?
Possibly. I mean, I'd have to, watch a bunch of cops to find an example. But I think I've seen ones before, like where it got tense and then all of a sudden it cuts off and they're like in a cop car. Mm-hmm. So there could have been something violent going on. I just, cut that part out.
This show was on since I was a kid. And I didn't care for it that back then, but I kind of like it now. I don't think people watch it because they want to glorify cops. I think that they like a lot of reality TV where people are, we watch people who are in a bad situation. It makes us feel a little better about our own situation, kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Like, the rehab shows were like that too. The prison shows, they kind of, make us feel a little better about our place in life a little bit by watching these guys that are
living in a hellhole.
Yeah. I think that's falsely called catharsis, but I don't think that really applies there. Some people will call that catharsis, but I think that's a little misuse of the word. Yeah.
There's a lot of those guys on YouTube.
A lot of those guys on YouTube,
like ex-cons, like I don't know if you ever, I mean, I'm not an ex-con, but yeah, there's all kinds, like there's a few channels, like there's one that I like, ones that I like, there's this guy called Wes Watson, and he's like a fitness guru.
Okay.
But he started in prison, and he like talks about how he changed his life around and what his life was like in prison, but now he's out of prison and he has his own, he's like the fitness guru guy. And then there's this other guy, Larry Lawton, and he tells like these elaborate stories of how it's like some stories.
Right, but besides cops, there's a lot of prison shows too on cable now, or jail shows have become more of a thing now than they used to be. And besides that, we have the world's wildest police videos, and what was that other thing that's like a live one now? Like it kind of morphed into cops even went a step further with that.
Live PD.
Yeah, live PD.
Yeah,
and that was a little bit more mundane. Like a lot of the calls would be kind of normal, boring things.
I think they had did they have a major incident on that show where they raided like the wrong house and killed like a kid or something, or like killed somebody? I think that happened. That was they literally like raided the wrong house.
That show wasn't filtered really because it was live.
I feel sorry for those people.
I guess
I think that actually happened.
And they said in that article that cops exploits the viewers. I think they had to sign a release to have their face on camera, though. They were usually blurred, weren't they? Their faces were blurred unless they signed a release. Isn't that kind of how it worked?
It used to be that way. I haven't seen anyone's face blurred on there on any recent episodes, but it was a lot different when it first came on. Though it was a lot different, and it seemed like it got watered down, where it was like they really tried to exploit the people. I think more like it was kind of like the Jerry Springer.
Right.
I've watched all kinds of all you have to, and I don't like these videos are on YouTube, but they're not edited, and they're more exciting, because you can watch all the shootings and you name it, you just on YouTube. But yeah, like when I first started, they used to do like one of the reasons I actually liked to watch it when I was a kid is because they always did like prostitution busts and stuff like that, and you could what I mean. So that because I was an adolescent, and they were doing like a prostitution bust, but they'd also do like drug busts. and they do like all these elaborate sting up, and they like in the original episodes they even talk about like themselves more and
Hmm.
like why they and but they make it so it's like more like a reality TV show like where it's this cop's life or whatever. But gradually it switched to like this thing where like it would be like domestic violence, but they would find like I don't like there's one last season like where they ran on YouTube. They had like a clip of it to as an advertisement where there's like I hit him with a can of corn. It was like this crazy these crazy people in not black people but these people in a trailer park
Hmm.
and then just talking like heavy accents. So, yeah, I hit him with the can of corn and all. So I mean they exploit everyone. Or like
Right.
I think the last time I watched it was like these people who they were on meth or something like that. And,
Hmm.
they let them get they didn't arrest them so they wouldn't have to kill their dog and yeah, so it's just simply sensational stuff. Like I mean, the good thing
What are
that
we? Who are we to say though that people can't? Well, you just this is so exploitative that we remove your right to watch it, remove your right to put it on TV. We're just we're gonna. I don't know if they're. You could say
you
they're
can't disagree
right.
with
What they
that,
do is they're pestering the network and saying we're gonna make you look bad and give you bad
right?
PR. You don't pull this off. It's not really censorship directly, but it's kind of like it's a tactic of the censorship mentality.
They didn't know it's censorship. Yeah, they're trying to censor that voice, even though I mean it started on Fox, and it's obviously sensational. And I mean, all you have to do is go on YouTube to see,
Right.
you
We
know,
were talking. A friend of mine commented on the news article that I posted on my feed about this, and brought up a a video series that no longer exists. Not because of people calling for its censorship, because I think that the audience that it catered to had sort of a moral, a call of conscience and said, well, this probably isn't good as bum fights. Remember, I don't know if you remember bum fights.
oh, that was like the grossest thing ever. I mean, yeah, and
Right.
I remember it now. To try to
I think that
try to
that
forget
what
it.
happened there was that the viewers or the people that were actually running those videos decided, this ain't really a good thing. When it came out that he was not paying the people that he was taking advantage of and keeping them poor and that kind of thing, that he could have paid them millions of dollars, but just didn't give a shit about them.
I didn't even know that. I mean, I
That's what
didn't
came
follow
out.
it that closely.
That came out over the grapevine. I think that his audience turned on him at that point and just stopped watching it. That happened not because of anybody censoring it. It's just because the audience had a change of conscience about the show when they learned a little more about it, and the youth stopped getting into bum fights, and he couldn't sell them anymore after that. But that didn't require censorship. That just required the audience decided, well, this kind of turns my stomach a little bit now that I know a
Right.
little bit more about what he's doing, and to these people, because they kind of thought that the guys in the show, the bums who were on screen, were kind of cool and kind of cult figures, and they must really have cool houses now that they're on this show. But when they found out that they're being exploited and got nothing basically, and then the filmmaker just got all the money, they kind of turned against it and didn't like it anymore. That didn't really happen on Cops though. In Cops, they're just those people go back to their regular lives. They don't make any money off the show. Nothing good happens to them basically. They just get on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the photographers actually got killed in one of the shootouts a while back for Cops.
A photographer for Cops got killed in a shootout.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It was like at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about these little incidents on Cops. I didn't really follow all the backstories and all that kind of things.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I remember they were going to shoot it here in Columbus, but the mayor objected to it. They actually didn't allow them to shoot it even though they're supposed to.
Right.
So that's only, but other than that, yeah, I haven't really been aware that there was controversy over it, even though um, I see it as being sensational. Yeah,
Cops, we've had so many shows now. We've had the Catch a Predator show,
yeah,
those kind of things where they bring the kid out and or whoever the hell it was, and then he walks up to him, and a really funny one that I saw one time was this kid. What's the guy's name that confronts him? Whatever. He walks up to him and he starts
Chris
reading.
Hansen.
Chris Hansen. He's just reading him the transcript about what he was saying. And he goes, "You told a 12-year-old girl, do you like anal?" And he goes, "It's a question." I always thought that was funny.
Yeah. Well, there's a really good soundboard for. I
Huh?
don't know if you're familiar with soundboards. But,
Yeah,
there's a really good soundboard for Chris Hansen.
that was it.
Yeah.
So you use that to call people and think they're on that show.
People, yeah, they call call.
Yeah,
It's a pretty good one.
that shit always amazed me though. What was surprising, like from a sociological standpoint or social psychological standpoint, was just how the perpetrators were from so many walks of life. It was one was a teacher, another one was they could be anything. There was no predicting what kind of background they would have or what they looked like or what age they were. Some of them were construction workers, some of them were anything you could think of. They would you'd probably find predators that people would go to a kid's house at least and from the internet and try to do something. One time I was at home and I was like 22 at the time, and I was back then we didn't have the dating sites weren't free and there weren't a lot of people that did them. So what I did to finally kind of meet girls was I went on a Facebook Messenger we had, and Yahoo Messenger, at the time, and you would just do a search of locals and you kind of chat, with this local, not local. And one time I ran into somebody that said she was 18, and then after a while talking, she told me she was 13. And she kept telling me to come over, and she said she just lived down the block. I said, "Are your parents home?" "No." "Well, I'm not coming over. I'm not coming." She just kept asking me about it. It was really suspicious. I almost think that was one of those situations. She just kept wanting me to come. Why do you want me to come over? Your parents aren't home. I don't need to meet you. You're 13. I don't need to meet you. We're just
Right.
talking.
Yeah,
And,
it sounds like they're trying to dupe
it
you.
sounded like it. I wouldn't fucking with that. And that was actually at the time that Chris Hansen show started to be popular.
I know there were lawsuits where people use that as a defense, saying that it was coercion, that they started that they didn't intend to talk to anyone who was that young, and they just kept baiting them to come over there. So they just fell for it or whatever.
Sometimes they did get off. Yeah, I think there was certain parameters that kind of fell into that kind of thing, and usually the thing they would say is that they wanted to go there to talk to the kid. Like to get there, I just wanted to talk to him about not doing it,
right?
About not talking to someone on the internet and having them come over to your house. I was going to give him a scare.
Yeah, actually, when I was about 18 or 19, there was a girl who was like 13 or 14 who would call me all the time, but I never did anything with her because she was younger.
Mm-hmm. So. All right, another thing in the news this week, we've got Minneapolis City Council members intend to defund and dismantle the city's police department. 9 members of the Minneapolis City Council on Sunday announced they intended to defund and dismantle the city's police department following the police killing of George Floyd. We committed to dismantling policing as we know it in the city of Minneapolis and rebuild with our community a new model of public safety that actually keeps our community safe. Council President Lisa Bender told CNN, with 9 votes, the city council would have a veto-proof supermajority of the council's 13 members, Bender said. Sunday's pledge was an announcement that the current system is not working, Bender said. We need to listen. This is really not written well. You don't say Bender said after every comment. Anyway, we need to listen, especially to our Black leaders, to our communities of color for whom policing is not working, and to really let the solutions lie in our community, she said. Pressing for details on what the dismantling looked like, Bender told CNN she was looking to shift police funding toward community-based strategies that the council would discuss to replace the current police department. The idea of having no police department is certainly not in the short term, she added. Bender and other city council members analyzed the nature of 9/11 caused by constituents, she said, and found most were for mental health services, health and EMT, and fire services. The 9 council members made the announcement at a community rally in Minneapolis. News of the announcement was first reported by The Appeal. Calls by some to defund or abolish police departments have grown in the wake of Floyd's death and nationwide protests against police brutality. City council members had previously said they would take steps to dismantle the police department, including Bender, who tweeted earlier this week, "Yes, we are going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department and replace it with a transformative new model of public safety." Jeremiah Ellison, city councilman for Ward 5, tweeted a similar message on Thursday, writing, "We are going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department, and when we are done, we're not simply going to glue it back together. We're going to dramatically rethink how we approach public safety and emergency response. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey was booed by protesters Saturday night when he refused to commit to defending and abolishing the city's police force. A spokesperson for the mayor said in a statement that he is unwavering in his commitment to working with Chief, whoever his name is, toward deep structural reforms and uprooting systematic racism. So the police department is so racist, I guess, that you just can't exist in any form. Because I guess police departments are existing just for the purpose of racism. I don't know what that's about, but so what it seems like they're going to do is they're just going to introduce some reforms and change the name of their police department to the public safety department and act like they invented a new thing. Basically, that's what it kind of seems like to me. Make them wear polo shirts or something like that when they're walking around. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't think that's a reality. I think the defunding thing actually has some legitimacy, but not in an extreme way. I think that you could defund areas. So like you could go ahead with, a more liberal drug policy. Just to put that generally, I'm just trying to put that, just things, making not focusing on, nonviolent offenses, closing private prisons, these sort of things. So I mean, you can defund. I think there's things that can be defunded, but you can't abolish the police. So you can't defund everything. You have to be able to find a method of policing that isn't because what's going on is that, in my opinion, and because I don't have stats in front of me and that sort of thing, is to me what it seems like what's going on is that it's to turn a profit. So it's not so much a race thing, even though Black people are in a worse situation because they're more likely to be poor. So there's people they're poor, so they're not doing things, like they didn't renew their tag or something like that. So now they have to go to court and they can't pay the fine, and it's just stupid stuff like this, and that these people are upset about. It's just because they're poor and and the system keeps them locked where they have to keep paying all these fines, and it's just because it's just one stupid thing after another, and it just slides down that slope. And that's what people are upset about, in my opinion. But so you could define certain things, but you can't get rid of all of it, because there's no way for, just like you said, there's just no way for somebody else to step in and do it. It's the government's responsibility. They have to do it. It can't be the community, and it can't be private either, because are you familiar with cop block at all?
No.
Yeah, I think it's defunct now, but it's like a right-wing anti-police organization. It was actually started with funding from the Koch brothers. It was started. Get this: it was one of the founders of it is Christopher Cantwell. I mean, I don't like Christopher Cantwell, but ironically, he's one of the founding members, and he founded it with this other guy. I think his name is Ademo, and he just called it, like, his last name was like Freeman. I forget what his real last name is. It's not. And he got arrested for pot, and now he's like, he had like 80 pounds. Like he broadcasted where when he got pulled over. The thing is, he's out of, like, he got pulled over with like multiple pounds, like I'm gonna say like 40 pounds of marijuana plus all kinds of other like edibles or whatever. And yeah, like in a mass quantity, and he's out of jail, like he's out of prison already. So he must have, and he was in prison before. Like he was a felon, so he must have snitched. But the reason, and it's totally the fuck now. I think like they banned it from Facebook. I think I have one of their T-shirts. Actually, just hold on while I grab. It's not. I know where it is. This one, so I can show it to you. Yeah, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this T-shirt, but they actually sent this to me for free, just because I followed it on Facebook or whatever. But yeah, so like this was their slogan. It was like, "Badges don't grant extra rights," and then it's like, "Who owns you?"
Right.
But they were actually, but it was like a ANCAP thing, so they actually wanted to have like private police force. So I don't ever seen like RoboCop.
Hmm.
Ever seen RoboCop? So they wouldn't have like a private police force. So I don't know if you've ever seen RoboCop. I mean, not that that's the whole idea of RoboCop is that it's a like this private police force takes over, and if it's run by like Donald Trump or whatever. But it's private, so they can do like whatever they want. It's the RoboCops are really is an awesome. It's a really good movie.
Right. I like
I
RoboCop.
yeah, you should. That's the whole idea of RoboCop. I don't think that's I don't think that's how like this group of protesters. I don't think that's what they're thinking. But that's like what Cop Off was the kind of like the opposite of that. But
Right.
even if it's a community thing, I mean, just like you said, I mean, it 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 wouldn't be any different.
Well, what it seems like to me is that their police department has such a bad rap there that they're never going to get any respect again after this. So they just don't want them to be called the police department anymore. They don't want the words Minneapolis Police Department to exist. So we're going to change. So we're just going to basically just rename this for what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's some funding and some change of change of procedures and what they're doing. That's all good, but ultimately it's just a rebranding, is what it seems like to me. Minneapolis Public Safety Department, and then you make them wear different clothes or different uniforms or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just because the brand is so negative now that you
just rebranding, call it something else.
Yeah, the rebranding is really what it is, and you're just like, we don't have a police department anymore. Yeah, really. Okay.
That's why I have to shut the private prisons down and have to reform things. So these people who are poor aren't going to court over and over again over something stupid, and and once they're in prison, I mean you're pretty much screwed, because you could be there for something like all these channels that I watch. At least what they're saying is like somebody likes. And there's movies like where this is the plot too. It's like where some kid goes to prison for something stupid, like he gets caught with some pot or something, and he goes to prison. Like that, I think what's the movie? It's like called Animal or something like that. Is the one I'm thinking of. It's like that Terminator kid. Anyway, so he goes to prison for like something like for pot, and the next thing you know, like he's killing people in prison. He's in prison for the rest of his life, and all he's a member of the gang and all this stuff. But that probably happens. Like the silly couple of years or whatever just snowballs into all that.
What am I trying to get here? Okay. Recent, let me go to a little weird interaction I had with somebody recently. So, common segment on the show we're going to be introducing is us having really stupid arguments with people that we had during the course of the week, and then sharing those and just revealing how ridiculous the argument was. I might have a little trouble with this one. Let me see here really quick. Okay. Okay, well, what initially happened, Obama recently said that he called the rioters, or some of the rioters, thugs, quote unquote thugs. And some girl on some group I'm in went off and said, well, that's racist. The word thug is racist. Okay, I look it up. The word thug originates from some group in India back when the British were there, and they were a group that battled the British, and they were called the Thugs, and they did a lot of stealing and pillaging and things like that. So that's where the word comes from. It has nothing to do with black people whatsoever. And so when I pointed this out to her, we then commenced a really retarded argument. And I'm trying to get to it right here. Fucking stupid thing. Never mind. We had a stupid argument about whether Thug was racist, and then she started accusing me of all these fallacies, just naming a fallacy off the top of her head. You're guilty of gambler's fallacy, because I was saying, well, anyway, we'll just get to the point where Thug is not racist, for one thing, and Barack Obama, what are you talking about? One of the 10 most influential black people in American history, or the most important historical black person in America, and you're saying he's a racist because he uses the word thug. I mean, come on, give me a break.
They must not like Tupac either.
I'll say Tupac uses it too. John Cena's music coming to the wrestling ring was a song called Thug Life, and he was a white guy. I really doubt he meant that thugs are black people. But yeah, the argument was just retarded. I wish I could share it, but it's an issue with my fucking. I gotta master this whole screen sharing thing on here, because it works really well when I'm sharing a tab, but when I do something else, it's a little stupid. All right, well, we didn't get anybody else today, unless you have something else you want to share, Julian.
Well, I mean, my screen cap, which is back on that same page, Cop Block, when it used to be up on Facebook. Like this lady was trolling the page, and let me get the photo up here on my phone, and she actually says that like her and her cop friends are like gonna come get me.
All right, yeah, you showed me that. Yeah, you were on. You showed me that on the group, the Qual Out group. Did I pronounce that right? I don't even know. Is Qual Out the right pronunciation of that?
Oh no, yeah, the way what he said is that they intended for it to be call out, and they don't realize what people call it qual out, but honestly, what I think what they're really thinking is this is just because both Yaz and his what's the wife's name, Gigi, is that her? That's her name, isn't it?
I don't know.
Anyway, they're both not. They both speak English as a second language.
Okay.
So what I think they really intended was called out, and their graphic design that they came up with, it has like a bubble. So I think they were thinking the Q would be like a bubble, and they didn't realize, like, they thought so you would read it as a C, and it would just be like call out, like I'm gonna call you out, even though like what they really meant is like you're called out. Like,
okay, so this is what you had here. And he's talking about you. Fuck that guy is you, right?
No, or maybe it is. I can't remember, actually.
Fuck that guy, and every last one of you scumbags that support this page are Leos. What is that?
Law enforcement officer.
Okay, will eventually get you, and when they do, I hope they get a chance to do so with lethal force. Whoa.
No, like, I invite them to debate it.
With lethal force. So she's talking. So you have a page here talking about how terrible the police can be, and this is kind of like a woman where like when you try to tell a woman she's crazy, she responds by proving it that she's crazy. Like, you're crazy, and then she acts like crazier. So you have the page to try to bring out how the police are a problem and they kill people unnecessarily, and her response to that is to prove that they are, by telling you that they're going to shoot you on this page. The same view of the police that you do, basically. I hope they get you in with lethal force.
She changed someone's mind, right?
And then we'd be interested in debating that live one-on-one. This is you through video conferencing. No, Julian Serrano, because I have a job, but I'd be happy to say so in person. Me and my cop friends and family. Pussy, she says.
That's how I got a lot of people to debate me.
It's basically just like the way women act when you tell them they're crazy. They try to prove they're crazy. You say I'm crazy.
Oh yeah.
I'm crazy.
And
then you're like, the cops
challenging,
violent, and they violated rights. The cops are going to come shoot you for saying that. Okay, well, Jesus Christ.
Like, trying to see what you're going to do. Yeah.
I don't think the cops really have the kind of time to sit there and parole your Facebook group. I mean, maybe some are offended by it, but I really doubt it. I really doubt there's a prosecutor out there that's really bothering you guys or talking about what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my all-time favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just she was basically just basically telling you that the cops are basically the way you think they are. Say they're going to come shoot you or have a Facebook group that is a voicing your opinion about police departments and things like that. All right. Well, anything else to say about that before you sign off here, Julian?
Oh no, go ahead.
All right. Well, that's all for tonight, I guess. And we had a nice time. It was a little short. Next time I'll try to, straighten out the thing with my my own dumb conversation I had with that woman, and hopefully we'll get a few more people to join us. But this is fine. We're about 30 minutes in, and it's all right. We're still getting the hang of this thing, and I'm glad that Julian joined me both weeks at 8:00, which we will also be live next week at 8:00 on StreamYard. It's also the stream is directly to a YouTube page. So thank anybody who was watching this after the fact. Nobody watched it live, but some people watched after the fact. And thank you for watching after the fact. This is Benjamin Duncan signing out.
Have a good night.
All right.